Hello, happy holidays. I had myself muted there for a minute. Happy holidays. It's Fran. I'm back with another update for you for how to survive the holidays as a spender. This week, I want to do something a little bit different. I want to talk to you about my financial coaching club and the philosophy behind it. I know if you've been reading these emails, something off the wall. If you've been reading my emails, you may be interested in, the club. Like, okay, what is this club? What are they doing in this coaching container? How can this help me? How can this benefit my life? So I wanted to walk you through my framework. Now, this is the actual philosophy that I teach within the financial coaching club. This will show you like how the budget diary, if you got the workbook this year, or if you've been interested in it, this will show you like how the workbook fits into the overall framework of what we do in the club. So I'm sharing my screen. I hope you can see it. This is my first time doing this. This is actually my first time drawing out my framework for anyone. So feel special. And I hope that it's like legible, because that's a fear. All right, so this video is going to be a little bit longer than the previous ones, but if you are game, stick around, hang out, and of course hit reply and let me know what you think. So let's get started. All right, so I'm going to try and draw out these 3 circles because look, y'all, if I can do this. Is it going to let me? Yes, okay. Oh, look, already. Okay. Let's do it. Oh, let's do it. I was like doing that all wrong. Okay, so 3 parts. All right, so there's 3 parts of the way I think about the financial coaching club. 3 main sort of chunks of like process, like 3 different things that we're working on. And the overall goal is to have you become more financially savvy, basically be the commander of your money army. So those parts are perfect your process, enable your evolution, and unmask your identity. Okay, and there's 3 sort of main sections of each part of the philosophy. So under perfect your process, I'm going to put these like this. This is going to make sense later, I promise you. Okay, so under perfect your process, we have the first step, which is gather your gems. And what this basically means when I say gather your gems, the first thing I teach in the club is how to make a financial big book. And I've talked about this on Instagram before and on other parts of social media, but when you have all of your financial information in one place, it is a huge game changer as far as feeling confident about your finances and knowing that you don't have to think about where papers are. You don't have to keep this big file cabinet. Like, all of your things are in one place and you can easily get your hands on it and manage it at any point in time. So we call those your gems. These are all your financial documents, even if there's debt there, all of your, credit card statements, all the documents that relate to your home, even your work, your kids, all the things. So they can all fit in one giant scrapbook binder. I call this Gathering Your Gems. Everybody feels like it's a game changer. It's been amazing in the club. It's something I did for myself and something that I teach others how to do. And if you join the club and you need some help creating it, we will definitely create it together. So that's Gathering Your Gems. And the other part of your process is to date your dollars. Date your dollars. This is a big part of the learning curve, kind of when you start managing your money yourself. Dating your dollars basically means having a money date. This is something that I teach step by step inside the club, how to have a money date. It's also where the budget diary comes in. When you have the budget diary and you sit down for the money date, you don't have to spend any extra energy or stress trying to figure out what are you supposed to be doing? What am I doing here again? If you had, like, a lot of people will be like, well, I'll just use a notebook. And I'm like, that's fine. You can use a notebook to create your budget and manage your money. But every time you sit down, you're starting with a blank page that you have to now like reinvent the wheel and try to figure out, okay, what, when I did this last month, what was I doing? Okay, let me figure out like where I am or where I left off. And it just takes all this extra energy. So when you use the budget diary and you're dating your dollars, which is a weekly money date, it's so much less stressful and so much easier to just pick up where you leave off. So dating your dollars is a big part of what we do in the club. And actually we have a weekly money date where we all get together on Thursdays and have co-working. So everybody works on their budget together, nobody falls behind. So that's an option for you in the club as well. And then the third part of perfect your process is demolish your debt. Demolish your debt. So once you've been dating your dollars for a while, usually it can happen as soon as one money date or 1 month, or I usually will say about 3 months, you have a really clear handle on how much you'll be able to put towards debt and how fast you'll be able to pay off your debt. So demolish your debt really speaks to the debt snowball that's inside the budget diary workbook. And it talks about how once you've gathered your gems, right? So once you know how much debt you have, and then once you start to date your dollars and you know exactly how much money you can put towards debt each month and what you can pay extra towards your number one debt, you start to demolish your debt really, really quickly. Okay, so the next section is enable your evolution. I'm gonna try to squeeze this up over here. Enable your evolution. The first part of it is to manage your mind. Can you see that? Manage your mind. So what we do every Tuesday in the club is we have a coaching call. We are all together. We talk about those sticky money subjects, spending subjects, money manifestation topics, all the things that are all about money and life, because money is a big part of life. We talk about money mindset and leveling up. We talk about stigma. We talk about everything, really. It's a coaching call where you can bring any issue to the table. And I will typically have a topic of the month that we kind of focus on and kind of untangle and unwind. But we help you to manage your mind so that you can enable your evolution. So it's a really important part of the club is the mindset coaching, and we do that every single week. There's actually an early session and a later session for different time zones, and so you can come to one, some people come to both. Like, it's there and available for you, and it's one of the gems of being in the club. Another section of enable your evolution is stack your paper. Stack your paper. So this is speaking to the fact that I teach you how to save your money, how to track your savings, how to make the most of your savings, meaning when you're saving money, you are actually growing your money. Like your savings is not sitting, in an envelope in your, underwear drawer or under the mattress. Your savings is not even sitting in a traditional savings account, getting like a penny of interest a month, but your savings is in a money market account where it can grow a little faster, or you have it invested in a long-term investment, or even a medium, I call it a medium-term investment. But I teach you how to set up your finances so that your money is actually growing, even though you're not using it at, right then and there. If you have any extra money left over, like say you paid off all your debt and now you're ready to stack your paper, I teach you how you can organize your finances in order to do that. The next section is be your own bank. Be your own bank. This is one of my favorite things to do. It's actually a core value of mine that I am my own bank. So I will teach you how to organize your finances so that if there's like a big expense that needs to be paid, that you can pay that expense and then pay yourself back. Another philosophy that goes into be your own bank is the sinking fund and the holiday fund. These are sort of advanced topics that we talk about, but basically what it means is that you're never going to be dipping into your monthly money in order to pay for like rare, not rare, but like expenses that are like not regular. So like if you have homeowners association dues and they're due like once a year, or you have like your car insurance and it's due like every 6 months, like those expenses that are not recurring monthly, but they're more like spaced out, those you don't have those dipping into your monthly money. Even our small business owners, they really like the fact that when it's time to pay their taxes, the quarterly taxes is not dipping into your money, like you've already put it aside. So that's what the sinking fund is for. I teach you how to use that to your advantage. And similarly, the holiday fund it's the same exact concept, only it's for fun things, right? It's for things that we like vacation, Christmas, birthdays, people graduate, or someone has a wedding and you want to give a gift. Like you don't have to dip into your monthly money. Let's just absorb that for a second. Can you imagine that? Right? Can you imagine your life where somebody's graduating, or somebody's having a baby, or Christmas is coming up like it is for us now, and instead of having to like pull the money from your current month's, finances, you have this fund that's been growing, right? You've optimized it so it's growing on its own, and you actually can just grab the money from there and not have it affect anything that you're doing. That's amazing, right? Like that's a miracle. So that's you being your own bank. That's what I call it. You're just going to be your own bank. Meaning you don't have to go to the bank and ask for a loan. You don't have to go to anyone and ask for anything. Like you have it already set aside. So I teach you in the club how to do that. The next section is unmask your identity. And this is all about the fact that you're a spender and not being ashamed of that, not letting anybody shame you for it, not feeling like you have to make yourself into a saver in order to be successful with money. This speaks to the fact that you can be a spender and still be amazing with money. So we're going to unmask your identity. How we're going to do that? We're going to get you to own your extra. One thing I'm very protective of is my spenders. I'm very protective. I don't let anybody, feel like they're less than because they have a habit of spending. I don't let anybody, feel like they should be ashamed of the fact that they're a spender. We talk all about what's good about being a spender and how spenders are actually better than savers, which you have to be in the club to know why spenders are better than savers. But we own our extra, right? And I'm going to put extra in quotation marks. Because, people will say, if you're a spender, you like to throw like big parties and you like to like go big, do it all out. If you go on vacation, you want to get like the private suite and all the stuff and the champagne and all that, because you like to spend money. You like to feel good about things that you care about. So we talk about owning our extra. Sometimes people are like, oh, you're so extra. You just do this and everything you do is extra. You got to go all out. And they try to make you feel ashamed about that. But what we talk about in the club is owning that part of you, being proud of that part of you. When you spend freely, that shows the universe that you are not afraid that you're not going to get more, right? It shows that you trust God is going to bless you with more in your life. So you don't have to hang on to this, right? So we talk about that. We talk about owning your extra. Then we talk about setting your standards. Sorry, that's the alarm to go pick up my kids. Set your standards. Set your standards means that you will decide what your boundaries are and you will enforce your own boundaries. We all, from time to time, find ourselves in a position where we have let somebody walk all over our boundaries. So we talk about it in the club, in the coaching calls, about not only selecting your boundaries, but actually sticking to your boundaries. So if you have no boundaries at this point and people are just walking all over you, using your money, you're paying for everything. I was at that point before where I was paying for everything and everybody. I had this high paying job and I was helping out and I was giving people money and all this stuff because I had no boundaries. I just hadn't thought of it that way. And now I say, you know what? We have to have boundaries, especially around our money. As spenders, we like to give, and people will see that and like to receive, right? A lot of times we have trouble receiving because we're the strong ones, we're the ones who are usually giving. So when we set our standards, it means that if you are going to help somebody, you have a boundary around how much you're going to help them, and it's a gift, it's not a loan. You're not looking for it to come back. You're just saying, hey, I'm going to help this person, and it's either a gift or it's a no, right? It's not going to be a loan, and you don't allow people to come to you and like give you the sob story and melt your heart, and then you're like giving them money, and then your goals are not being met. So these are the things that we deal with, and so we talk about it as a club. We talk about setting our standards, which are basically our boundaries, and how we are going to be treated. Because if we don't decide how we're going to be treated, no one else is going to like just decide that they're going to treat us exactly the way that works for us. The last part is validate your values. Validate your values speaks to your core values. If there's one thing that I know about spenders, or about anybody actually, anybody who goes out to buy anything is buying that thing because they believe that buying something and bringing it home is going to make their life better in some way. Or buying a course or hiring a coach, anything like that is going to somehow make their life better. It's going to solve a problem. It's going to beautify their home. It's going to somehow make their life better. And so when we spend trying to feel better, sometimes we realize we just brought something else home. It doesn't actually make us feel better. And what we really need to do, and what I have people in the club do, is focus on their core values. So as we talk, you'll be able to uncover where your core values are. And a lot of times I'll point them out to you and say, oh, that sounds like a core value to you. Put that on your list. Because once you see where your core values are, it's so much easier when you go out to say no to buying something versus looking at it and saying, well, I think this will make me, feel happier at home. But if you know your core values and you know exactly what makes you feel like you're having a rich life, right? Exactly what makes you feel rich on the inside, that speaks to your core values. It's so much easier to make a decision around a purchase, right? So it's easy to decide if this is something that you're going to say yes to and spend your money on because it's in line with your core values. Then it's easy to just be like, yes. And if you think of it and you're like, is this in line with my core values? And it's just something you think will make you feel better, it's easy to say no. So we go into that a lot more, but that's validate your values, just talking about your core values. Now, what do you get when you come into the club, you look at these principles, you discuss them with the club members, you apply them all? What do you get? This is what you get. You get freedom, and that's financial freedom, time freedom. You just get so much freedom. You get choices, because now you can decide what you do with your money. You can decide if you're going to be your own bank. You could decide to pay yourself back. You get a lot of choices, and then you get confidence. You get confidence because now You know exactly where your money goes each month because you're doing money dates. You know exactly what your account numbers and your interest rates and all the things that, you know, sometimes we bury our head in the sand. You know all those things because you've gathered your gems. You have confidence because you're paying off your debt and it's actually working this time, right? You have confidence because you've learned how to own your extra and not feel like small or, you know, wrong when you're spending, or if somebody points out how much you spent on something, you don't feel, you know, like you made a mistake. So you have confidence, right? And you have your savings account is growing. Your savings is growing. You have more freedom, more choices. You have more confidence. Okay. So this is how the process goes when you're in the club. These are the things we talk about. I want to show you, let's just do a little self-test here. Let me change this. Let's do a little self-test. If you are like, not interested, not, you know, not super, I don't, you know, particularly resonate with any of this information, feel free to end the video now. But if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, I'm going to go through a little self-test and you can do it too. We'll go through and kind of like a stoplight, even though it's not red, it's my favorite color. It's fuchsia, yellow, and green. But we'll go through like a stoplight and you can do kind of like a self-rating on your own piece of paper. So we'll go through all of the 9 sections, but in Gather Your Gems, I want to tell you, so if you are a green, that means that you're really good at this section. If you're a yellow, it's kind of like, I could use some work. And if you're a pink or a red, like the stop sign, you know, if you're red, that means that, you know, you really need some help with this. The club will really help you. So when it comes to gathering your gems, you would be a red or a pink. You would need extra help if you don't have a centralized location for all of your financial information. If you don't have all your statements in one place, easily accessible, if you don't have all of your, like if you don't have all your debt, like your credit card statements, you know exactly how much debt you have all in one place, then you're a red. You really could use a big book. Now, some people say, well, I'm digital only. I don't have any paper statements or anything. And in that case, there's a digital version of the big book too, because you can also have a digital version of all your information in one place. And so some people feel like, oh, I'm digital, I don't have it. And you know, if I need something, I'll just go look for it or look it up or log on to whatever. And I would just like to offer you that that's a lot of energy that you would put into trying to go hunt down a statement and try to, you know, look for something. Your brain is actually gonna feel like that's extra stress and it's not worth it, and just makes you feel stressed out. It's kind of stressed out running in the background when you don't know for sure you could get your hands on any bit of information at any given time. Take a sip of tea there. And so what the big book does, and people really notice it from the beginning, is that you feel like so much less stress because you're like, I know I can get my hands on any, you know, financial document like so fast. This plays out if you are, like I was once like, I can't remember, we were out at this like government office and they wanted like some document. And my husband, we came home and my husband was like searching through like the emails and everything to try to find, like if he could find where this document was. And I just had it like in my book. I was like, here it is, you know, so easy, faxed it in, no problem, because I had all my things in one place. So not to say paper is better than digital, but there is a digital big book where you can put all of your information in one place. So said all that to say, most people don't have all of their gems gathered. So most people don't have everything in one place. So I'm going to make this the pinkish red color because most people really benefit from joining a club just to create their big book. Now, date your dollar. So this is talking about the money date. Do you have a regular scheduled time carved out of your week? Because we do it weekly. Do you have a weekly time where you're meeting with your money, with the budget diary, or some form of tracking where you can look at your money and make sure that you track everything. If you do, you're a green and you don't need, money dates. If you sometimes do, like maybe you do it once a month, maybe it's really stressful, maybe you forget sometimes or you avoid it and you do it like every few months, that's like a yellow. Or maybe you do it, but it's not a great system. And so it's like an energy suck for you and you're kind of like dreading it all the time and it's never a fun experience. That's a yellow. And then a red is like you never look at, you don't usually have money dates. You kind of just, log into your banking account and look in the moment, like, oh, I want to buy something. Let me see if I have enough money. And then you look at it and say like, oh, okay, I have enough money to buy this. And then you just like spend the money without tracking. So most people who come to me are in that situation. They haven't been dating their dollars. So I'm going to put the red. So if you haven't been dating your dollars, I'm going to color this in red. And then demolish your debt. So you are green for demolish your debt if you have been able to pay off your debt completely and you've been managing your money in such a way that you don't have debt, or you just you've never accumulated debt, or you've had student loans but you paid them off very aggressively, now you don't have them anymore. You're a yellow if you've tried to pay off your debt before and maybe you've used the debt snowball or Dave Ramsey system and then it kind of worked for you for a little while, then it didn't work for you, but then you got back up on the horse, the whole yo-yo situation where you've been, working on it, like you generally got the concept, but it hasn't really completely worked for you to pay off all your debt. That would be a yellow. And a red would be that you have no idea how to pay off your debt. You're just crying at night and trying to figure out like where your life has gone wrong. You have a lot of debt. You don't even know how much debt you have. You just know it's a lot and you don't even know where to start. So most of my clients are a green. Surprisingly, most of my clients, I say surprisingly because I was surprised. I had a lot of debt. I had over $500,000 in debt and I was like, just not quite sure what to do about anything, and which is how this system came about because I had to figure it out. And when I figured it out, I really, paid it off very, very quickly. But most of my clients who come to me don't have debt. I can specialize in how to pay off debt fast, which is what I love to do, is help people pay off debt. But most of my clients who come to me, they're like, oh, I don't have any debt, but I just need to figure out how to manage my money. I just need to figure out how to save more. I need to figure out where money is coming in from, where it's going, or I need to figure out how to manage money for my small business. So if you are someone who has a lot of debt and this category is a red for you, do not feel bad at all, because like I said, I had a ton of debt. I specialize in helping you pay off debt. It's just that most of my clients, when they come to me, they don't have debt, so they're in the green. But you are welcome in the club, whether you are red, green, or a gold. All right, the next section, manage your mind. So we talk a lot about law of attraction. We talk a lot about mindset. We talk a lot about money blocks. My big goal is to like have everybody just smash their money blocks so they can feel less mind drama when it comes to money and have a really good relationship with money. So I would say that you are a green in this section if you have a really good relationship with money. If you know that money supports you, that money is always going to be there for you, that money provides for you, and you don't have any baggage from childhood or anybody telling you that you're a spender and you're bad and all these things, then this section for you would be green. This section would be yellow for you if you kind of have a good relationship with money, like you don't have an adversarial relationship with money, but you do have issues with, feeling, wrong when you spend too much, or feeling like you've made some mistakes in the past that you haven't been able to forgive yourself for. And you are red in this section if you have a bad relationship with money, if you feel like money is like a fair weather friend, it comes sometimes and then it leaves really fast, and you can't rely on it. You can't, you spend it, but you feel like you're never going to get it back, or you're never going to make any more money, you're never going to get a raise, like all of that. And you've failed, right? If you feel like, oh, I failed at life, there's, I've made all these mistakes in the past, I should have known better, and now I'm just a failure and it's too late for me. I can't ever be rich because I'm already 40 or whatever it is, right? That you would be a red. And actually, most of my clients come to me like that, with that kind of thought about money. They feel like they failed. They feel like money is not available to them. They feel like the idea of being rich is not available to them. And they feel like it's not, it's not going to happen for them. And they're very, very anxious when they come to me, very, very anxious about money. So we fix that very fast. The next is stack your paper. So you're agreeing in stack your paper if you have a very healthy savings account, if you have retirement funds all set up and funded, if you're maxing out your 401k every year, if you are happy with the rate that you spend each month, which you're probably not a spender if you're saving that beautifully. So you're agreeing if you're doing that. You are a yellow if you are saving some money per month, or if you have some money saved, but you also have debt, and you're like, well, I have $50,000 saved, but I also have $50,000 in debt, right? So you're a yellow if you're like that. You are a red if you don't have any savings, or if you kind of like, once you pay off all your debt, you definitely won't have any savings. You don't have an emergency fund. Like you're just starting out and you're like, I've, made some mistakes in the past and now I have nothing in my retirement, or I borrowed from my retirement. If you have a lot of debt, like you're in the red. I would say most of my clients come to me as a yellow. They have some savings. Some of them have some debt, but they all kind of say they wish that their savings was more than it is. And they feel behind in their savings, even their retirement savings. They just feel like they haven't saved as much as they could have. They haven't invested as much as they could have. And it's like this whole like shoulda, coulda, woulda. And we talk about that and we get them on the right track. Most people haven't used a money market account for their savings and things like that. So that's one of the biggest shifts, and actually something that you can do today. You can open a money market account online and move the money from your traditional bank savings account to it. And the rates right now are not great, but you definitely will make more than the penny that you're getting at your bank. Okay, the next section is be your own bank. Now, you're agreeing in this section if you never have any drama with like unexpected bills, meaning some bill pops up and it doesn't even put a dent in your monthly budget. You're just like, oh, okay, we can pay for that out of the the extra savings or whatever. Like nothing ever bothers you. The car could break down, the washing machine could break, and you're just like, okay, let's just replace it on a Tuesday, no big deal. Like you're agreeing if that's your life. You're a yellow and be your own bank if you are less stressed about money. Like you can cover some expenses, like maybe you can cover a $200 expense that comes up from out of nowhere. But if it's something like $1,000 expense, then it's just like all bets are off. I can't cover that myself, and you may have to ask for help or use credit. You're red and be your own bank if you are definitely leaning and depending on credit for every expense, minor expenses, and even if it's like a regular expense that you have to use your credit card for because you don't have like a system in place to enable like your financial independence. So most of my clients come to me, I would say a yellow, because most of them, as I'm thinking about it, are able to cover minor expenses, maybe not the major ones, but things that come up throughout the year that can cover it. And sometimes they have to use a credit card or something like that and pay themselves back, which is totally fine. So that is be your own bank. And like I said, if you're a red in this section, you're like, I'm using my credit card for everything, I don't belong in the money squad. That is absolutely not true. We have all kinds of financial levels in the money squad. I'm just telling you for the sake of filling this out. I'm like, okay, let me average the 25 people that I work with and see like where most of them come from. But it doesn't mean that you're not welcome in the club, because of course you are. Okay, next we're gonna go over to own your extra. So if you feel ashamed about being a spender, or if somebody has told you that you're just extra, you're too much, you always trying to do something, you always trying to spend money. If somebody's told you that and you feel bad about it, or if that happens to you often and you feel bad about it or ashamed about it, then you are a red in this category. You're a yellow in this category if, you know, people are, telling you that you spend too much money, or you feel like you spend too much money, but it doesn't bother you that much. You're kind of like, okay, that's, normal for me. I've always been this way. And you're a green in this category if you're actually proud of the fact that you're a spender and a giver, and that you understand that there's a difference between spenders and savers. If you understand that, and you understand that the typical financial advice is tailored towards savers and not spenders, so you found your own way, then you're a green. Most people who come to me are red. Most people who come to me feel like they have to change who they are in order to be successful with money. So if you feel like you have to change who you are to be successful with money, then you are a red under own your extra. When it comes to setting your standards, this has to do with boundaries. Now, you are a green if you have very good boundaries, especially around money, and you don't let people give you the sob story. You're not lending money to people and then kind of getting stressed out because they're buying stuff and they're not paying you back, right? That makes you a green. You're a yellow and set your standards if this works sometimes. Like maybe you have some boundaries, but then they're leaky, right? Like you have a boundary where you're like, well, I'm not going to lend money. And then somebody comes to you with a sob story and you're like, well, I'll do it just this once, right? So you kind of betray yourself sometimes. You're yellow. And then you're red in this section if you don't have any boundaries. If you're like I was, the way I described at the beginning of this presentation, when I was just giving money left and right, then you're red. Most of my clients come on one extreme or the other, but I'm going to put yellow because if I'm averaging everybody, then I'll say that most of them are kind of like in the middle. So if you're just kind of like, sometimes you are like, you have some boundaries, but you really do give money too much. People get in trouble, people in your family get in trouble, then you're like giving out money, or somebody gives you a sob story or something and you're like ready to give them money and help them, and you're just so helpful and kind. Or you know if you have an adult son or daughter and they like need a new car, then you're the one who's like co-signing on the new car, or getting the new car, and it's like you're messing up your credit, for other people, that kind of thing. Then you might be a yellow. For validate your values, so this is the idea of core values. If you have a set of core values, and I recommend 5 to 7 core values. And you can do this now, you can do this today after watching this, you can just start thinking and paying attention to like what really matters to me. And the question I'd like for you to ask yourself is, what makes me feel rich, right? Like what can I do in my life? What do I do regularly that makes me feel rich, right? Like, what do I really care about? What do I care enough to spend money on? If you have those core values and you know what really makes you feel like a rich person in your life, then you're a green. Especially, let me say, you're a yellow. If you have those core values and you're living by them and you're spending according to your core values, then you are a green. If you have no idea what your core values are and you're just spending because it feels good to do that this day and there's no rhyme or reason, and you're bringing home things that just like don't even fit in to your life, or this is a big one, if you're spending based on what you think other people care about, like if you have like a big house or like a luxury car and you're like you don't even need the house, like you could be perfectly happy in an apartment, but you live in this big house because like people at your income level should live in a big house, or people in your family think you should live in a big house, and you could be perfectly happy in an apartment. Or you're driving like a Mercedes Benz and you're like, I'm just driving this car because it's a status symbol. Like, I really don't even care about driving a luxury car. I'd rather have whatever else. Like, or, you know, you'd rather live in a small home and have great vacations, but instead you're living in this huge home and you can't even afford to have a great vacation, and you can't even really, you know, you have to work so much, you can't even really enjoy your home. Then your core values, you're not living according to your core values. I hope that makes sense. So most of the people who come to me are not living according to their core values. They're kind of like living according to like society standards, and they're really afraid of going against what the norm is and being kind of the weird one who does things differently. So I'm going to put a red one for this one, because most people that come to the Financial Coaching Club really, you know, some of them just say, I don't know what my core values are, right? And then we talk about it and we work it out and we figure out what those core values are. But this goes into, you know, I sent out the, or, you know, you've gotten the 57 tips to surviving the holidays as a spender. And a lot of those are about your core values, right? If you're trying to, you know, spend at the holidays on things just because, you know, society is telling you that you need a big tree and all new decorations every year, and you want your home to look Instagrammable, or you're trying to buy, you know, everybody on the PTA a gift, plus the mailman, plus, you know, everybody, just because you feel like you have to, then, you know, that may not go according to your core values, right? Like, that may not be the reason that you need to be spending. So here is our final, the final look at the way the Financial Coaching Club can help you. And I'm going to put it down here. Financial Coaching Club, also known as the Money Squad. This is all that we go over and what we talk about. Part of it relates to the budget diary. Like I said, dating your dollars, demolishing your debt really goes into, we go into that with the budget diary, and also stacking your paper. But as you can see, there are several other areas, and most people who benefit from using the budget diary also benefit from these high-level conversations that we have inside the club. And if that looks like you, like if you're still here and you're like, listen to this, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I really do want to know my core values. I really do want to feel proud of myself, you know, as being a spender, and stop trying to force myself to be a saver, as those savers are better, which they are not. Then being in a financial coaching club might be right for you. Let me drink some more, because clearly I'm like shouting at you. But as you can see, like, most people find that they have difficulty in these areas. And if this is you, I would like to personally welcome you into the Money Squad. We have meetings every Tuesday and every Thursday. We have a lot of fun challenges within the club, and ways, like different ways to look at money, different ways to look at spending and being a spender. I never have you make a budget, actually. So like, that's a funny quirk about having the budget diary in the club, is that we don't actually make a budget. We actually will have you change your behavior naturally based on the way you know, track and interact with your money. Your behavior will change naturally. You won't be stuck, you know, abiding by a set of rules or a budget or any kind of boundary telling you how much you should spend. That'll come up, you'll come up with that on your own. And there's just 3 steps to, let me add another page here. There are 3 steps to what I teach. And the first step is to spend, right? Spending is part of the steps, of course. Who are you talking to? Spend according to your core values. To your core values. There, okay. The second step is to track. So you track during your money dates. And this is weekly for an hour. That's it, 1 hour a week. And the next step is to declutter your finances. Declutter your expenses. This happens naturally, usually after that first money date. You know, by the end of the first month, you can already see what needs to be cut out of your expenses so that you can put more money towards paying off debt or put more money towards building your savings. And I teach you how to do that, teach you how to painlessly declutter your expenses. It happens so naturally, it's ridiculous. Seriously, it's amazing, but it happens so naturally. So if you feel like this is you and you could really benefit from being in the club, there will be a link somewhere that will allow you to get more information about this. This is the first time I've shared this framework publicly. It's just so interesting. It's so fun. But I will be sharing more of it as time goes on. So if you have any questions about it, or you're wondering if it's right for you, book a consultation. We can talk about it. But you don't have to have a consultation. I'm starting something new in the club now, where whenever you join, you get 4 private sessions. So we kind of you can get your consultation, not really consultation, but you get your you can get your plan, your personalized plan through that experience, instead of needing to have like a consultation before you join. So I hope that makes it easier for you to join. I hope that helps. I know the holidays are here and there's so much going on, but if you took these, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes, I don't know, I can talk, y'all know that. If you took this time to watch this video, I hope it was helpful for you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.